Booker T. Washington was not born into comfort. He was born into slavery, into a world where a child's future was already decided before he could even speak. He never knew his father. His mother, Jane, worked endless hours on a plantation in Virginia, doing whatever she could to keep her children alive. Food was scarce, shoes were a luxury, books? They didn't even exist in the world little Booker lived in. As a child, he wasn't taught the alphabet. He wasn't taught numbers. He was taught how to survive, how to endure, how to work long before he understood what work even meant. Every morning he woke up in the dark. Every night, he collapsed from exhaustion. His job was carrying sacks of grain to the plantation mill, each heavier than his own small body. But even in that darkness, there was a spark inside him. Because Booker noticed something powerful. Whenever he saw a white child carrying a schoolbook, his heart burnt not with jealousy, but with hunger. A hunger to learn, a hunger to rise, a hunger to shape a future no one believed he deserved. One day, after the Civil War ended, everything changed. Slavery was abolished. Millions celebrated. But freedom didn't magically erase hunger, poverty, or pain. Booker's family moved to West Virginia, hoping for a better life. What they found instead was more hard labor. Booker worked in a salt mine. He worked in a coal mine, but even then, he carried a secret dream. He wanted to go to school. He wanted to read words instead of hauling rocks. He wanted a chance, just a chance to become something more. And then, one day, he heard about a school called the Hampton Institute, a school that accepted formerly enslaved people. A school where education wasn't a privilege, but a possibility. Booker knew this was his moment, his doorway, his one chance to change everything. And so the boy who was once born into chains began a journey toward a classroom he had never seen. A journey that would make him one of the most influential black leaders in American history. At the Hampton Institute, Booker T. Washington finally found a place where learning was possible. The classrooms were small, the books were worn, but to Booker, they were treasures more valuable than gold. He studied tirelessly. Every spare moment was spent reading, writing, and learning. Even after long days of manual labor, he refused to rest. Education had become his lifeline, his ladder out of poverty. Booker noticed that knowledge alone wasn't enough. Character mattered, hard work mattered, and the ability to help others rise mattered even more. After graduating from Hampton, he began teaching at small schools across the South. He worked with children who, like him, had been born into slavery or extreme poverty. He saw their hunger, their struggles, and it reminded him of his own childhood. But Booker had a bigger dream. He didn't want to just teach a few children. He wanted to create a school that would train an entire generation of African Americans to succeed in a world that still discriminated against them. And so, in 1881, with only a few dollars and unwavering determination, he founded the Tuskegee Normal and Industrial Institute in Alabama. The school started with one small building, a handful of students, and Booker himself as principal and teacher. He taught academic lessons during the day, and at night, he hammered, built, and repaired the school's facilities with his own hands. Every brick laid was a symbol of hope. Booker believed in a philosophy called self-help and vocational education. He encouraged students to learn trades, farming, carpentry, and mechanics so they could support themselves and uplift their communities. But he also believed in dignity and leadership. Education wasn't just about survival, it was about respect, influence, and the power to shape the future. Word of Tuskegee spread. Booker became a voice of reason and hope for African Americans across the country. He wasn't just teaching students, he was building leaders, inventors, and visionaries who would go on to change America. Through sheer perseverance, skill, and a heart dedicated to service, Booker T. Washington had transformed from a slave boy into a national figure whose influence would be felt for generations. Booker T. Washington's influence extended far beyond Tuskegee. He became a national figure, invited to speak to presidents, leaders, and philanthropists. In 1895, he delivered his famous Atlanta Compromise speech. He urged African Americans to focus on education, hard work, and self-reliance as a path to equality. He believed that dignity and economic independence would open doors that politics alone could not. While some criticized him for being too cautious, Booker knew the reality of the time. The South was still hostile, racism was rampant. Violence against black communities was common. He chose practical progress over immediate confrontation, believing small, steady victories could change lives. Booker also became an advisor to presidents, including Theodore Roosevelt and William Howard Taft. He helped secure funding for schools, scholarships, and opportunities for African Americans. Despite this influence, his journey was not easy. Critics called him too accommodating to white society. Some questioned his approach, demanding more aggressive civil rights action. But Booker remained steadfast, believing education and economic empowerment were the keys to lasting freedom. At Tuskegee, he continued to build the school into a thriving institution. It became a place where African Americans learned trades, leadership, and responsibility. Graduates went on to become teachers, engineers, farmers, and entrepreneurs, carrying Booker's vision across the country. Yet, behind the public figure was a man who never forgot his roots. He remembered the child who once hauled sacks in the sun, the boy who could barely read, the teenager who dreamed of a chance to learn. Every decision he made, every speech he gave, was for the children like him, those who were born into hardship, but deserved the chance to rise. Booker T. Washington had become a symbol of hope, a bridge between generations, and a reminder that education could break the chains of oppression. His philosophy, his perseverance, and his vision would influence not just his students but the entire nation. Booker T. Washington lived a life that few could imagine. From a slave child in Virginia, he became one of the most influential African American leaders of his time. He dedicated his life to education, empowerment, and practical progress. Tuskegee Institute, which started as a small school with a few students and a single teacher, grew into a world-renowned institution. It trained thousands of African Americans in trades, academics, and leadership. Through his speeches, writings, and personal example, Booker became a national voice for hope and resilience. He traveled across the country, inspiring students, parents, and communities. He showed that hard work, education, and determination could break barriers, even in the harshest conditions. But Booker's life was not without challenges. He faced criticism from both black and white communities. Some wanted more radical action, some doubted his cautious approach. Yet he stayed true to his principles. He believed that lasting change came from knowledge, skill, and self-reliance, not shortcuts or empty promises. Even in his later years, Booker remained active at Tuskegee, mentoring students and expanding the school's influence. He wrote books, gave speeches, and advised leaders, always with the same humility and vision that had carried him from the salt mines to the White House. Booker T. Washington passed away on November 14, 1915, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire. Today, Tuskegee University stands as a living testament to his vision, and his life story remains a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of education. His message resonates as strongly now as it did over a century ago. No matter the circumstances of your birth, dedication, knowledge, and hard work can elevate you to greatness. Booker T. Washington proved that even the boy born into chains could rise to shape a nation. He transformed not only his own life but the lives of countless others. And though he faced hardship, prejudice, and doubt, he never stopped dreaming, teaching, and building.